What's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Sequoia. So if you are in the market for a first gen Toyota Sequoia, stick around and watch this video. We're going to go over the pros and cons of owning a Toyota Sequoia. Let's go. So first things first, I think you hear this all the time. The Toyota Sequoia, the first gen, does come with a V8. It also shares the same motor as a first gen Tundra, which is known to be the million-mile motor, which is a great motor, super reliable. The only things you really need to do is timing belt, water pump, oil changes, and then a few maintenance here and there like valve cover gaskets, and you're pretty much set for a really long time. My car is at 220,000 miles and it's still running strong. And I'm not hesitant to take it anywhere. I'll drive it 1,000 miles like today if I needed to. Another great thing about this car, it is a solid rear axle compared to the second gen Tundras and Sequoias. They were independent all around, which I don't know why they did that. But the first gen is an independent front and solid rear axle in the rear, which is great, for hauling some stuff or heavier loads. Also, it's very capable at off-roading. So if you do, they have a two-wheel drive option and a four-wheel drive option, depending on your budget and your needs. You can get either or. And I've had both the four-wheel drive and the two-wheel drive. I currently own a two-wheel drive, but when I had the four-wheel drive version, it was super capable. I took it off-roading with a bunch of Land Cruisers and GXs, and it did perfectly fine. And I was on the smallest tire there. I think it was like a 30 or 31. It's pretty much stock tire, just stock all-terrain tires. Handled amazing. I didn't have to use the center lockers, which is another thing. First gen Sequoias do have the options to come with center lockers, which is helpful in certain situations. It's not the best thing, but it's definitely better than not having it at all, which I think is a great feature if you are looking for someone with a big SUV who wants to go off-roading and also wants to have the big space and the capacity to haul other things like a family or other stuff that you want to take around. And the space is amazing in the car. This does come with third row, so you have the options to fit 8 people total. I currently don't run the third rows because I don't have people sitting in the back, but if you have a big family, you can have 8 people and still have room in the trunk. But if you do take out the third rows, there is so much room in the back. When I was camping in my 4x4, I took out the back rows and I could lay flat all the way from the trunk to this middle row if I just fold the middle rows up. So much room. If you want to camp in there and build some kind of sleeping platform, it's definitely more doable. And also, the Toyota Sequoia, one of my favorite features, has the roll down window. And so if you don't know, the back window rolls all the way down. And so if you have a dog, super convenient. If you have things you want to access in the trunk where you don't want to open the latch, you can just roll it down. You can use the key, you can use the inside, grab stuff, take it out. Super, super convenient. I really love that feature. They came in 4Runners as well. GXs and stuff like that didn't have it, which I had before, which I really appreciate the Sequoia for having that. So with the Toyota Sequoia, you can overland, you can go off-roading, it can be a family vehicle. It can also tow a pretty decent amount of weight. I've towed my drift car, which is sitting right behind the camera. I've taken it to the track, driven it 2.5 hours. Depending on which model you get, some can tow more than the others. The first generation Sequoias, if you do get a 4-wheel drive, those tow a little bit less than the 2-wheel drive just because the weight and all the extra stuff to have the 4-wheel drive can kind of weigh it down. But if you do have the 2-wheel drive, it does tow, don't quote me on it, between 7,000 and 7,500, which is plenty if you're towing just a small car to the track locally, which is what I do, and I think it's perfect. I can have so much stuff in the trunk, tow my drift car to the track and have plenty of space and be comfortable and still be a good car. When I had the 4-wheel drive, I took it off-roading, I took it to the track, I towed the car, I did everything with it. It was so universal. If you consider all of the 4-wheel drive options right now from Toyota, let's look at even Lexus, you look at the Land Cruiser, you look at the 4Runner, you look at the GX, you look at the Tundras, these are all really expensive now. You cannot find a four-wheel drive car for under 5K now that is reliable, and maybe a Toyota, because I'm a big Toyota fanboy. Sequoias, they're still at the lower price. They're probably gonna go up in price because a lot of people are looking into it, but it is really cheap. Before COVID, I got my 4x4 Sequoia with, I think it was only 130,000 miles for $4,000. And prices go up, COVID's here, but I still see 4x4s going around 5 to 6, depending on the year. Also, another thing I like about this car is that parts are pretty cheap. They made these engines in pretty much all of the V8s during this generation of Toyota. Came in the Tundra, came in the GX, came in the 4Runner, came in the Land Cruiser, came in the LX. It's in the second gens, some of the second gen Sequoias, the second gen Tundras. So they came pretty much everywhere, so parts are super cheap. If you go on Rock Auto, you can pretty much get any part you need: suspension, engine components, tie rods, interior, stuff like that. You can still get it for super cheap. I bought my headlights and taillights and all these other things for my car, and it's way cheaper than a lot of the other cars I've been working on because of the availability of all the parts. And talking about the different years, Sequoia, the first gen, they did have 2 different variants, and we'll go talk into that because there are pros and cons of each one. If you do get a first generation, there is a pre-VVTi model, which is from 2001 to 2004. These don't come with VVTi. These also only come with a 4-pin connector to tow, which means if you want to run a brake controller, you have to install it manually through just different ways. And another con about the pre-VVTi model is it does have the really weaker brakes. They're pretty known to not fail, but to seize up. So if you live in a colder climate where you have rust and you don't drive your car too much, rust can get on the calipers and seize it pretty quickly. So during 2005 and 2006, they upgraded to a much bigger caliper, and that's one of the bigger switches from having the VVTi models. So common issues of the Toyota Sequoia. I think one that I've seen really common is, of course, the brakes. The first gen brakes, the pre-VVTi brakes, known to fail. Mine has been replaced, but I know it's gonna fail. There's a certain code that I'll post on the screen right here. If you see on your calipers that you see this code, that means you have the older, weaker brakes. It came in 2001 and 2004. And then from 2005, 2006, they upgraded to a much better brake. It's not that much bigger, it's just less prone to seizing up on you. Another big issue is on the engine, they have this T fitting for the coolant. It is made out of plastic, and because these cars are over 20 years old now, or some even older, they just break. If you drive far, long distance, all of a sudden you see coolant shooting out of your hood, your car is smoking. It can be really scary because you're like, what's happening? Did my engine just blow up? But it's actually that T fitting, that plastic fitting that just shattered and exploded. There is a quick fix where you can just buy a metal one or just buy plastic ones, OEM ones from factory, and just leave it in your car. When a car cools down, go ahead and replace it, and you're back on the road. It doesn't really break anything as long as you don't overheat your car while you're driving. Another common issue, of course, these Toyotas during this time was prone to rust. So if you are in the East Coast, the South, wherever it snows and has very, rough weathers, different climate, it will rust. And I've seen a lot of cars that are pretty badly rust. Fortunate for me, I bought mine in California, so you don't really deal with rust that much. But if you are in those, the snow belt areas, you should watch out for rust. Another con, if you're looking to mod this car, not many people or small businesses are making parts for it. It's a growing community, so there's parts now. But if you're looking for like off-road parts, if you're looking for skid plates, you're looking for sliders, you're looking for lift kits and all these off-road parts or overlanding parts, you're looking for roof racks, you're looking for mole panels, all these things, it's really hard to get because there's only a few companies that make it. So there can be long wait times, they can be really expensive. You can go to custom route, so you don't have any options to choose from. You can just choose from a select few. Kind of downside, but if you get in early, I'm pretty sure the community is building. More companies are starting to work on it and provide parts for it. So just buy it now, get in early, and you'll be one of the few people to get it and build it and have fun with it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you guys have a Sequoia or thinking about getting one, go ahead and give my channel a subscribe. I do have a ton of videos about working on Sequoia. We did lift kit, we did ball joints, we did airbags, we did interior lights, everything you can think of, kind of the base entry level things to get into overlanding, to tow your car to the track, things like that, upgrading the brakes, steel braided brake lines, you name it. We did a lot of things on it. So go ahead, give the channel a subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.